Welcome to Unpacked, real conversations for diplomatic partners who are ready to unpack more than just boxes. This is the space for the brave questions, the messy middles, and the quiet decision to stop shrinking and start showing up fully. We talk identity, purpose, transitions, and what it really takes to feel at home in a life that's always moving. Because you've always been more than the label, and this is where we say it out loud. Hi, I'm Anna, and I am with my co host Emma. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our fourth episode of Unpacked. I'm here with my beautiful, wonderful co host Emma. Hi, Emma.
Hello, I'm so happy to be back.
And today we are talking about something a bit maybe deeper and heavier than last time. You remember our last episode was on the topic of summer holidays. We did cover a lot of other topics as well, but I think today we wanted to talk about this thing that we both agree is happening behind the scenes, the invisible load diplomatic partners are carrying
Yes,
with them.
absolutely.
So how
Uh,
do you see it, Emma?
oh gosh, I think it's in everything that we do, isn't it? I mean, physically, or the things that we can externally see. We're carrying the suitcases, the boxes, we're carrying the children, the lifestyle, but the invisible load is how do we navigate this life being my own individual person as well as someone's dependent. Um,
Mhm.
and that word, I know we've talked about it at length, Anna, haven't we? That word dependent is not a comfortable word to think about that we are, but when your visa literally says dependent or spouse of, it's it really hits home that your identity is secondary to the the working partner. And I say working with inverted commas because many diplomatic partners are also working, but the reason why we're overseas, that yeah, to me that word dependent is very heavy. What about you? What do you think?
Mhm. I agree with you. Yes, it's a very heavy and not a nice word, right? Dependent. But I have to admit, I think it's pretty accurate. As you say, starting from the visa status, from your passport, from why you're here, wherever you go somewhere. Hey, Emma, nice to meet you. And what do you do here? I don't know how you answer that question, but in the past, especially, I would say I'm here because of my husband's job or my spouse's job. And I think that's the answer a lot of us give. And actually, someone told me the other day, I now say, let's say, my name is Anna, and let's say Michael is my husband. It's
Yes.
not the other way around. And I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
But yes, however you look at it, you are dependent, and that's a big topic, and we'll talk about it on another episode. But most of us are financially dependent. We are dependent, as you were telling me the other day, you cannot go to the post and collect your parcel.
Yes.
You cannot do so many things. You're literally depending on your spouse for
Yeah.
so many things.
I literally, even my birthday cards had to come with my partner's name on the envelope.
Here you go.
You know, so I mean, that's a whole other. It's how many times, and we can be okay with this or understand logically why that happens because it's a logistical reason. But what subconsciously does that do to our own self-worth and our own
Mm.
being is huge.
No, exactly. And I think it's a compound effect. If it were just one little thing, you would say, yeah, okay, who
Hmm.
cares? But it's really everywhere and it's constantly in your face. Like we have, for some reasons, we couldn't open a bank account in both our names. So
Hmm.
I have a card with his name on it. I have no access to internet banking. I don't know what's going on here.
Hmm.
So, and there are a lot of things like that because we are like for the system, we are really appendix of, our spouses who are sent here to work. And obviously, the communication goes through them, no one talks to us, and that's why it's always bypasses you. And I think the more you do, like the longer you live this lifestyle, I think it really builds up because, as you pointed out, Emma, what does it do to us on the emotional level? It certainly is chipping away our confidence, our and this sense of like, me as an independent, full-fledged person.
Yeah. And there's two aspects to the confidence, isn't it? There's the personal confidence, but also the skill confidence. Because if you have to rely on someone to call someone up or to do these things, you lose, yes, you lose confidence in your ability or like your confidence to want to do those things. But there's like, if you haven't practiced something for a long time, you then have a skill lack of confidence, which then becomes an extra compounding effect, that it's a double-edged sword, that we can't do both of those things. And to be fair to the working partners, they all also feel like a heavy weight and a heavy burden, that everything is in their name. So it's not a choice that they want to take away all of our power.
No, 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 no.
It's obviously the system that's built, and understandably so to a certain extent, because they're the people who are on the payroll. So you can understand why, from a logistical business perspective, that's the way it is. The working partners don't want to feel like this because they feel like they carry a lot. We
Yes.
don't want to feel like this because we feel completely worthless and incapable, which is not true. So how do you think then we can get out of this cycle?
Huh.
I mean, it's you. I mean,
Yes.
sorry, Anne, we keep saying this, don't we? Like a whole of the season.
How can I get out of this cycle?
Yeah.
I think obviously because it's a multi-layered cake, right? As you say, they are like, our partners are now burdened with this extra responsibility for every tiny little thing because we cannot do it.
Hmm.
Us being not able to do things over and over again, I mean, for a longer period of time, really leaves us with this, like, I cannot do anything. I really feel so insecure in my own abilities because I didn't have a chance to practice all of that for, I don't know, 15 plus years, let's say.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's awful and destructive for us. It's not good for them. And I think for the I also think that it cannot be good for the employer. It cannot be good for the, ministries who send us here because it's already like there is a lot of pressure. They come, it's an important, well, how it's high stake job that they
Hmm.
do. And I think if this is the extra burden they have to carry, and it does influence the family dynamics.
Hmm.
And I think potentially, I think that's why some postings, get interrupted or people decide to go back or marriages collapse overseas because this is just not sustainable. I mean, it's just so unbalanced, the whole
Yeah.
thing. And I think for me, obviously, yes, you can work individually on both sides. Like, how can he or she, like, the one who works, deal with it, and you as accompanying spouse. But also, I think for ministries, like, how about we change this paradigm and say it's not one person being sent abroad, it's the whole family, and they are a package and they're a unit. Let's support them as a unit. And that would have a wonderful ripple effect on the productivity, on the retention, on
Yeah.
like, I don't know who said that, pardon, but like, happy spouse, happy house. Well,
Yes.
that's true.
Yeah. And I think partners and spouses, they get a bad rep for complaining about potentially like housing, or complaining that the ministry isn't offering enough support or a different support, or that partners and spouses are reliant on the system as such.
Mhm.
However, if we take this approach that actually it's inbuilt and it's ingrained in our identity that we
Yes,
have to be dependent, how
yes,
can we ever find a solution where the organization says no, we can't help, you've got to be your own independent person and look after your own well-being and your own your own life. Like if you were back in London, I say London for myself, but if you were back in your home country, we wouldn't be giving you all of the support that we give you overseas. Okay,
Yes.
but on the other side, we are overseas, we are a dependent, we're here because of the organisation, and therefore the way that the whole system is set up is that we have to ask. So why don't we take this bigger picture and the bigger question and say, well, how can we reduce and take away the ties from the organization? Does the organization actually want that to happen for spouses? Probably not, because they want to have this. I don't want to use the word control because it's not a control, but there is obviously policies, there's systems, there's rules in place for maybe security, for
Mhm.
consistency, for so many reasons that they don't want to break that tie from partners and families, but they can't then say, no, you have to deal with everything else by yourself. You're a grown up, you're an adult.
I love that, Emma, because I think that that's the catch, right? Kind of you're expected to do a lot of things, in terms like, why would I support you? Already supported enough. And whatever, like, struggling with, like, that's your private business, right? That's the private manner, and you deal with that. But on the other hand, you're here not in exactly private capacity, right? So, and that's why, in terms of, expectations, you're not in your private capacity, so play the role and, and so on. But then whenever you feel like, I'm actually, so I'm like, I wanted to use the word suffocating, but I now it's out. But if it's like I feel I don't have enough freedom, I don't have enough agency, I don't feel like I can do so many things, because then that's your problem. That's the private part of it, right? And
Yeah.
again, what you're trying to say, okay, give us then these opportunities to be more independent instead of being dependent and looking after us. But and I think, diplomacy is one of the most traditional professions, and it's still like it's beautiful, it's wonderful. There are so many wonderful things, right? But if you look back when it started, it used to be a diplomat used to be a white, wealthy gentleman who could easily live off his inheritance and travel the world representing his country. He would have a wife who would just be in this representative role, hosting events. But things have changed dramatically, right? It's 2025. We cannot live on one income. No way. We're educated, but I think the way the system is built is still operating. It's kind of between, well, starting with the term dependence, like, it should be in a museum by now. And this 19th century, all the way to 1960s, I'd say, a happy mother with an apron, baking cakes, and happy children playing at her feet. And that's why I think this discrepancy between where we are in time and how things are handled. I think that's also why things kind of are not working that brilliantly, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think bringing back to the point of actually we are in 2025 and most people cannot live on one wage. I find that that becomes an even bigger issue. And I don't know what it's like for every ministry, but I'm assuming as a common pattern it's maybe overseas posting, maybe back to home posting, or maybe two overseas
Yes.
posting and back to home. And if we take that, if you're not unable to work overseas, you have between maybe 3 and 8 years, maybe 3 and 10 years without income, without any evidence on your CV. How on earth are we expected to go back to our home country, contribute to a mortgage, find a job when I think the statistics, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, it's something like it can take 6 to 8 months to find a employment if you're out of work. How can we how can we expect our spouses and partners to cope with navigating that as a lifestyle? I think there's a certain level of the organization can easily say, yeah, well, we look after you overseas. What have you got to complain about? You don't have to worry about housing and how this. But okay, that's fine if I'm away forever. you know, you know, if you're going to look after
Yes.
me forever, but it's not the case
Yes.
because we
No,
have a
no.
lot of we do have a lot of support when we are overseas. You go back to your home country and you are left to your own devices, potentially
Yes.
not knowing how long you're going to be in your home country for. Maybe you're in between postings and it's a very short 6 months and in wherever, or maybe it's 2 or 3 years or more. That instability and that being able to say, how do I contribute and have that independence for myself when I'm so dependent overseas? And it's huge and it's quite concerning, isn't it, that we're in this current situation.
It is very concerning, and that's why I think diplomatic spouses, just due to the nature of this lifestyle, exactly what happens to you if you've been on the move for quite some time, have this huge CV gap, feeling like, you've forgotten whatever skills you had, the education. Most of us are super well educated, but if you don't work or you don't have the continuity in your career, yes, you are left with a huge CV gap, skills that you feel like you don't they're gone,
Hmm.
lacking confidence, financially dependent on your spouse, and trying to find job in a very competitive market, right? It's just very, very, now even for entry level jobs they want, I don't know, lots of things from you. So I think actually, Emma, that leaves us diplomatic partners in a very, very vulnerable position. And I think, exactly when you started with this, you said diplomatic spouses complain about the housing and here and that. So this reputation of being, well, slightly arrogant, and I don't know what else. But actually, the reality is that like the cost and the vulnerability way outweighs the privileges and the perks.
Yeah, and I just want to share because I saw something the other day. The European Union Foreign Affairs Spouses, Partners and Families Association, um, they released their employment survey findings. So they had
Yeah,
over
I saw it.
70, did you see it? Brilliant.
Yeah.
1,700 responses from 30 plus countries. And I'm literally just reading this word for word, but I'm sure we can send a
Hmm.
link of where
Yeah.
this is. Over 90% of the respondents hold university degrees, yet
Yes.
only 48% are employed,
Yeah.
which is huge. Um, and nearly 50% are underemployed, so therefore they're not doing whatever they want to do or at the level. And
No.
25% have temporary or no contracts. And 40% have income that isn't pensionable.
Yeah. So,
That's crazy
and
numbers.
that's why when I say vulnerable, and the other word, the stronger one, would be screwed. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we could
Yeah.
we could talk all day, couldn't we, about the impact on well-being, self-worth, identity, but in terms of
Yeah.
even practicalities, financial independence and financial dependence is
Hmm.
hugely concerning. And in my coaching program that I run, we talk about portability in terms of how do we make
Hmm.
this lifestyle work for us. But as part of that, what I do like to talk about is what do you do? How do you make yourself portable to get out? You know,
Hmm.
heaven forbid, relationships break down, unfortunately. No one wants to think about this. And uh, even potentially, I don't know what's worse. Everything is bad. If there's sickness, death,
Yes.
and I've had to have conversations with my husband. I was like, if you had a traffic accident here, would I be given what 2 weeks to get out of our home? I don't know. Where would I go? Because
Yeah.
are we set up for that? So, and these conversations, they're not comfortable to have. They're very, it's very confronting. But what I think is the most important thing is A, to be aware of it, but B, have open and productive conversations with your partner about this because it's very important. And don't ever think, oh, we've been here, we've been in this situation now for 10, 20, 50, 30 years. I'm not going to bother to having this conversation now. It's never too late to have this conversation. And I think it's important to be open, be honest with your not only yourself but and your partner, and have a very clear plan of what you're going to do to help yourself be independent. Whether that's you're moving back home together, that's moving you home, you're going home on your own. Whatever the situation looks like, having that conversation is so important.
Absolutely, Emma. And I think you know how they say the best time to do that was maybe 5 years ago, maybe yesterday.
Yes.
Second
Yeah.
best time is today. And exactly, I think it's not comfortable. And when you marry someone, you marry forever till death us part. But things happen, and that's another big gray elephant. And I hope to talk about it here too. I think the divorce rate among diplomatic spouses is huge. It's really, really high. So
Yeah.
meaning that you really have to be prepared for what happens if this lifestyle doesn't work out, and not so much lifestyle, if the relationship doesn't work out, and where are you standing?
Mm.
And I think I'm glad you talk about it. But I think even I really think it all starts in a way within. Definitely to have the conversation is important. It's definitely to have the skills, or have prepare yourself how to exit if you need to, if you need to.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think even while he is the one who is making the income, just because let's say you're at the post and you cannot work in the country due to various reasons,
Hmm.
I think it's good to feel still like, you are equally contributing to whatever is happening. And
Yes.
I think that's such a trap, because somehow if okay, he's the breadwinner or she, I don't know, like right, well, it's no, he or she, whoever is employed doing whatever they're doing, just also because of you, you're unable so many things. You're so mission critical. Just don't put yourself down in a way, really, like, no, it's rightfully yours. Rightfully
Absolutely.
yours.
And this is something that I've actually, and I don't think that there is an answer to this
Mm,
question because it's something that I've pondered and had many conversations about. When you don't earn the same level as the other person, so there is
mm-hmm.
imbalance, which in majority of
Still,
couples, there's
yeah,
always somebody who
still,
earns more than
yeah,
the other.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, how do you quantify, and you can't quantify, that's the issue,
yeah,
what people are putting in? For example, if you're a full-time mum and you're managing schools, after school clubs, you're managing movements, like you are, Anna, you're managing children across countries. How do you even quantify? Do you go, okay, stop my stop clock, my my clock now? Okay, I'm checked in. Okay, right then, school time, school admin. Okay, that took me an hour this week. We can't say those things, because it's the little
uh,
things. I talk about this with my friends. It's the scrolling on the shopping apps to you know, at 9 o'clock at night to make sure that you've got food in for the week. It's hidden and it's like a little minute here, a 5 minutes there. It's like, oh, I haven't organized this week, so I need to get that organized. It's it's me having to decide this morning that today was bedding change. You know, no one goes, this is the rule. You have to think about this for this 2 minutes out of your day. No one discusses it, but it's your burden and your load that you're having.
yeah. That's this mental load that I think, frankly, that mostly women still carry with them. And that was so spot on, Emma, when you said exactly how do you quantify that? Because I was thinking, I have three teenagers now. I think I should get a pay rise.
Yeah.
I need a promotion.
Yeah.
Really? Right. I think yes, because you don't have pay rise, there is no promotion, no laurels, no applause, no nothing. And that's why it's kind of and everything's taken for granted. But without me doing all of that. Like, how on earth? That's frankly impossible.
Hmm.
That's why, okay, maybe one person goes and earns the bucks, like it's in the numbers, but the other person does the emotional, the like the men, all of that. That's huge. And but unfortunately, it's still so you're just sitting like you're at home. You're the one
Yeah,
who don't work.
what have you done all day?
Yeah, what
I
have you
hate
done
that.
all day?
I hate that question. What have you done all day? And my husband always comes in when I'm in the middle of watching a TV show or something as well. So then it really annoys me because I'm like, I've literally just sat down for 5 minutes. I promise. Um,
Yes,
but and I
yes,
think what you've just said there about it's the moving as well, moving countries and having to set up new routines. I think that especially when we move to an overseas posting, the partner goes to work, they are surrounded by the structural systems, the organizations, the teams. Generally speaking, it's the partner who is then navigating the cultural transitions too. So, having to deal with new systems in food shopping, organizing the doctor registrations, organizing the schooling and how to navigate how the day-to-day life runs and actually having to deal with all the brand new systems because I don't know about you, Anna, but every time you go to a new country, there is a brand new way of having to pay your Wi-Fi bill, for example. It sounds
yes.
as if, you know, when you move in your own home country, you know how the country works, you know how systems work, but there's always a new way to pay. There's always, like, for example, in Kenya, we don't really use cash that often. They use this thing called M-Pesa. Well, I've never even heard of M-Pesa before. And you have to learn how to upload
Yeah,
money to your M-Pesa. Then I have to learn how to pay someone with my M-Pesa money. You know, it's a brand new thing. So very often I'm the one that's also then training my husband on how to do that. Even this morning, he said, "How do I top up my phone again?" Um, so
yeah.
it's hidden. It's in there. It's we're the ones who absorb how to actually live in the country, and we then make it happen to for everyone else.
Yeah, I think what's actually not seen and invisible, but like let me say it out loud and then you decide how big or small that is. You are setting up life from zero.
Yes.
Like how does that sound? That's humongous, right? Because it's really it's a you arrive wherever you live, whether they provide you the accommodation, but it's a house. Who
Hmm.
makes it into a home? You,
Hmm.
right? You make it cozy, homely. You work out. Exactly, it's life. You're building life. What you do, what no one sees, what's invisible, it's building life for everyone and yourself.
Yeah.
But really, this everyone, I think, like, and especially when you have kids, they first, and then, like, I feel a lot of moms, well, first everyone else, and then whatever is left, how much time left, that's you. But it takes out a lot of time and energy navigating, sorting out. Exactly. Like in Lebanon, it's almost the opposite. Cards, because, well, bank situation, it's cash. You have to have cash on you. And they have two currencies. So you pay in USD, they get you like little and big things that you need to deal with,
Hmm.
especially in the beginning. And you do it for everyone while still being this anchor and container and making it, as smooth as possible for everyone. It takes a huge toll.
Yeah. And I think even, I remember moving to countries and being so proud of myself for going to the shops for the first time on my own and having and navigating that whole thing. And the more I've spoken to partners, there's this also feeling of like, oh, am I really celebrating that I've been to the supermarket on my own? There's like this exasperation that, am I really doing this again? Am I not an adult enough? But
Mm,
actually, we do need to celebrate it because they are big milestones and they are big achievements. And every little thing is a success for us. But what we don't recognize sometimes is having to constantly do that, and this is something that's becoming a reoccurring pattern for us, Anna, the repetition of having to do that over and over again, that's
Mhm.
where where we become super tired, I think.
Yes.
And I wonder, for me, I think that the best thing to do in that situation, I don't know what you found, is just being willing to ask for help as a tool and a strategy, whether that's from your partner, from people in your community, but actually asking for the help. How willing are you to ask for help when you don't know? You know,
Mm.
people have been there, they've figured it out, they've done all of the hard work for
Yeah.
you. Why do we have to struggle too?
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think I don't know how it is for you, but where I'm right now, because I've done this transition so many times, I'm really fine asking. Like, and I rely heavily on the know-how and experience of spouses who've been here longer. So I would ask anything, from where I find this, how do you do this, how do you um but yes, I think actually discussing this with you, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, that's it. That's why it's a huge task to set up life and then pack it up again and then do it all over again and again and again. And you're doing it is because you are facilitating and supporting someone else's dreams and career while everything of yours oftentimes is on hold. And that's why it can breed so much, well, exhaustion, fatigue, resentment, and these really questions like, because, again, pardon my language, but that's what I hear from my clients and friends waking up at night at some point and thinking, what on earth replaces with another word am I doing
Yes.
here?
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's all invisible and no one sees it to the outside world. You're the one jettison about around the world with your deep passport in one hand and a cocktail in another. Emma, what are you talking about?
Yes.
It's easy. It's a walk in the park.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Easy
Yeah.
peasy.
And I think that, I mean, we're talking here very much about the practicalities and the logistics, but also behind that is the reinvention of yourself. How do you
Mm,
turn up and how do you say to someone, "Hi, I'm Emma. I I'm interested in all of these things and this is what I am and what I'm doing." And this is something that I really encourage everyone to have. It's something that I've talked about before. It's having identity that moves with you. So whether that's, you know, it doesn't have to be a portable job, but if it's a portable job and it's your career identity, that's one thing. If it's um, I am passionate about this or charity work, or I am, what is it that I can do in every single country at any week in my life? Where is my identity and how do I make that bit stable? Because we talk very often that we can, it's really great to move around because you get to decide what you want to do in the next country. You get to decide where you're going to travel, if you're going to try some new hobbies. Well, yeah, it's great and it's a super exciting opportunity, but we can't do that every single time. So, where is the
mm,
stability for yourself and your identity, your self worth? Where do you get that from? And make that location independent. So we know if anything's guaranteed in this life is that it's going to move and it's going to change. So
yes.
how do I get myself, where do I get my self-worth from? And how do I make sure that whatever it is, I can do wherever I am.
I love it, Emma. I think it's such an important discussion that we are having right now. I think exactly for me, everything starts with that's again, I learned it the hard way. You really need to decide what do you enjoy doing? Who do you want to be? Like, frankly, who do you want to be? And that's your one and only life. And okay, maybe to the outside world and to ourselves, it feels like we are traveling this world in this passenger seat because we're sent to beautiful locations, not because of us. But I think really having this clarity, who am I in all of that? who I want to be, what thrills me, what would I love to do
Yes.
anywhere in the world, right? You said decide that for yourself, do that. But also, I'd say be flexible because you're going to change. We're constantly expanding and growing. Like when you
Absolutely.
decided
Yes.
that's who I am, that's what I like, let's say 5 years ago, maybe it won't be the case today, and
Mm,
that's fine. Like it's
yes.
constant growth, evolution, and expansion. But really, and know you are important, you are valuable, worthy enough, and what you are doing for the other person, the one who is having this career, it's very valuable. You should be appreciated and valued for your contribution to someone else's self-expression.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that that's a really nice thing to start to end on there, Anna, is just know that how amazing you are. And I think if we were going to talk to anybody who is feeling invisible right now,
Hmm.
if you really, really can't see, because sometimes we lose because we don't get the validation from someone else, we start to not see it in ourselves.
Yes.
So if you're in this situation right now, take some time, get a notepad, and literally write down every tiny little thing that you do to contribute to how your house runs. And I guarantee soon enough you'll have pages and pages and pages and pages. Um, but take that time, and I think when you see it visually,
Hmm.
you can really then actually start to communicate your worth in a whole other way than maybe you currently are.
Exactly, because I'm sure I can guarantee, and it's so lovely that you mentioned it, Emma. Exactly. Do the exercise and you'll be blown away. You
Hmm.
realize you are the atlas holding the sky. You're really that important. And you are amazing. And exactly, the trap of invisibility is just because no one talks about it. It's all behind the scenes. And kind of it's the world of appearances, right? We can only judge based on what's external.
Yes,
But no, we see you, right, Emma?
absolutely.
We
Well,
hear you
I'm,
guys,
I'm,
we
I'm
see
looking at
you,
you,
we
Anna.
love you so much. It's like, and that's why we are doing it because
Yes.
we all rock.
Well, yeah, we do.
That's
And I'm just like sat here going, thanks, Anna. Thank you for telling me I'm amazing.
you are amazing, and I hear
Yes,
you,
and
and I
so are
see
you,
and
Anna.
appreciate you so so much.
Yes.
So, and I think let's end here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just been so lovely as always, Anna. And I really can't wait for next time. I'm like, when are we putting the next one in our diaries? Because we can't hold it too long. So, but thank you so much for sharing all of your insights today. And oh, it's just, I just feel even better. I just feel so uplifted and energized. And yeah, I just love spending time with you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Emma. And really, the word I was just thinking this word uplifted. That's how I feel as well. And you said it.
Great. Well,
You
that's
said it
good.
aloud. And by the way, before we go, we are building a community because I think it's just, as Emma said, a lot of it is so invisible. We feel invisible a lot of the times, and it shouldn't be this way. And we're making things visible. We're giving voice to all of us through this platform, but we're also building a community. It will be a beautiful global thing. And the first gathering is actually today. So please stay tuned for details on the next one.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Anna. And Anna, where can we find you if we want to chat to you more?
Instagram, not just a spouse. I have a website, notjustaspouse.com, and I'm very active doing quite a bit of advocacy on LinkedIn.
Amazing. And you can find me on Instagram at the Zesty Life. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please rate, subscribe, tell a friend, because like Anna said, we're trying to build a big community here, build some momentum. So the more people that we can reach, honestly, it really, really helps us to make positive change for everybody in our community. So thank you so much, and we're so looking forward to speaking to you all very soon.
Bye,
Have a good day.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.